Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. Stephanie here from Room for Myself. So good to see you again. And thank you for joining. Really appreciate if you're around. So my today's live is about 5 tips to get started and stick to it, whatever you want to do, whatever has been on your mind for too long and you never came to it. I think we all know that sensation of like, I always wanted to do this, but I don't have the time. I always want to take care of my body, but I don't know when. I want to change my job, but I don't know how. And sometimes we are so caught up in our cycles and in our daily life that it seems impossible to actually step out and look from the outside. What is it really that you deeply desire to change or to adapt, or where you want to grow in? Yeah, there's so many different ways of changing. And I noticed this with the work of the woman, that it is often one of the main obstacles, that the to get started is extremely difficult. And I think one of my main reasons, and this is something that I want to talk about before I get actually to the 5 steps, because it really highly correlates with each other, is that everything that you're thinking in your mind and you can't yet detach from it will not be strong enough to actually make you taking action and start to overcome a bad habit, for example, or change a sense of conditioning, or change something how you relate to yourself or to others. And I think one of the main reasons is that, and this is, I think, super, super interesting, that our mind can't create an experience. It can only reflect upon an experience. And that means that if you keep thinking about it and are very closely detached to your thoughts, then it is impossible for you to generate a deeper will to actually move forward and take action. So I think this is one of the main one of the things that I want to share today. And often is it that something really heavy needs to happen, some kind of rock bottom. I think we all know that sensation of lying on the floor, lying on the kitchen floor, lying in the bathroom floor, crawling up into the bed, or not wanting to leave the house. So there's a kind of rock bottom that needs to happen, or another kind of hardship, like a divorce or a job loss or loss of a person, something that shakes you up and brings you to another sense of presence that is beyond your mind, that is in your body. And often through this kind of presence, we are unlocking numb feelings. We are allowing, or we get the opportunity to go deep into an unconscious area, kind of where we can dig deep and see what kind of beliefs we have formed over the course of our lives. For example, one of the main beliefs we often form is like, I'm not good enough. I cannot do it. Who am I to do the things, right? If it's, for example, if you want to develop your dream business. So, and that, by the way, this is what we do in yoga as well. We really try to, with a consistent, regular practice, to penetrate deeper layers of our consciousness. So, and it is often in these kind of rock bottom situation, hardship situations, that we actually feel. Yeah, we go beyond our mind, and suddenly there is also releasing another energy, another stronger energy of power and capacity and options. And this is something that I, again, would call embodiment. Yeah, to be in your body. This is what we talked about also in the last session. And so just to sum that up, is a kind of rock bottom, is a kind of hardship, or if you have already developed with the help of a tool like a yoga practice or a meditation or breathing practice, that you're examining in a more conscious way your field of consciousness, that you understand, okay, maybe here I need to go a little bit deeper. And I think the first step that is really, really important to get started is to focus on your belief. Whatever it is that you want to do, what is the belief that is deep down in your being that keeps you holding back from it? Because why is this so important? This is so important because the belief defines your thoughts, and the thoughts create your actions, and your action create your experience. So once you have figured out what kind of belief, it can be in all areas of your life, in your personal life, in your health life, in your intimate relationship with yourself, in your partnership, in your work, in your social life, quality life, the balance between being and have. So any kind of belief, point that out and rewrite it in a positive way. For example, who am I? To do that, you say, I am, and then you put your name to do that. And once you have done, the step number 2 is to write down exactly, crystal clear, what you actually truly want. And this specific field that I just mentioned, the only thing, it has to be really super clear. No vague, I want, it has to be really, really firmly designed to who you are in this very moment. And then I believe once you have pointed out what you want, it is not enough to help you go through it, to create actually the change or the transformation. It is important that you put behind an intention. For example, if you want to stop smoking, that would be the goal. It is you need to have an intention behind. One of the main intention is certainly that you want to have a healthy body, but you could also, to go a little bit more deeper, say that you want to have a long life in a healthy way, independent, vital. You want to later on enjoy your grandchildren. These are things that are thriving. Or if you want to change your job and do the job that you love, it's purpose driven. I want to help this and this and this. I want to help this and that person with my job. And then it becomes intentional. And I think intentional is something that we talk a lot and practice a lot in yoga. Then the 4th step would be make a plan. So then Stephanie I'm a very practical person. So what would be the plan? My plan is a 6-step plan, which is, first step, make a promise to yourself. I think that's that's the key, because when you keep the promise to yourself, you're going to be successful. And I hope that you have the courage and the beautiful capacity inside of you to actually promise to yourself and keep this promise. And this kind of promise will really fearlessly shape the process and the progress as well. Then also, since you have a very clear goal that you developed in point number 2, I suggest to have a precise time frame and a frequency. For example, if you want to start a yoga practice, say I practice for 3 months, twice a week, 20 minutes a day, and then you can do it. If it feels good, you can continue. If you want to develop a little bit more, you can do that. If it doesn't resonate with you, you can try something else, but at least you have done it, speaking about the experience. Then I suggest to put this time in your calendar and make it non-negotiable. This is super important. Really look around you and see what could keep you away from doing this. For example, kids sick, job is calling, traveling, etc. And really make some plans and steps how you can work with these changes that you still can follow through. Then I also suggest to share this with your family or friends so they can support you there, encourage you, hold you accountable when it needs, or even if you need to step away from them, then you might do that as well. Anything that helps you to follow through is helpful. Even walking away sometimes without saying something must be done. Point number 5, really do your best in being kind to yourself, because when you want to achieve this goal that you have put for yourself, it most likely won't go the way you want it to, or you hit a turning point, or you experience a setback. Often happens. I suggest to find caring, loving words for yourself and get back on track. It's like the yoga practice is you practice, and if you have a shitty practice, you go back the next day and try again. It doesn't really make a big difference. It always ends on to your growth. And point number 6, I think this is something that we don't do enough, and especially now in times of quarantine, is we really need to celebrate our small steps. We need to celebrate the small little successes that are happening along with the process, achieving your goal. And like with celebrating, I mean like nobody is watching. Really acknowledge yourself. It is in fact one of the hardest things to do, not because we're not capable of doing it, just because we haven't learned it, most likely, most of us. So these 6 steps would be, from my point number 4, make a plan. And then the 6th step is not really a step, but I think since I'm coming a lot from the perspective of yoga, you develop self-discipline. And self-discipline is to become someone of character and strength. It's part of the niyamas in the 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, but it's part of the Yoga Sutras, the compilation of yoga. And it really asks us to withstand a couple of times to actually find the blessings in the moment when it becomes difficult. This is a skill that everybody of us can develop. And I think once you go through a process of pointing out a goal, developing a plan beyond that intention that you have set on a positive belief, you might develop that. And in the end, achieving that goal that you want and following through with the help of your intention, you're just forming yourself, you're growing, you're becoming to the person that you are supposed to be. And this is what Room for Myself is about. But also I find that focus is a very important part here. That's why it's helpful to have a plan, so you always go back to the plan when you had a setback or when you had a turning point. And then also what you've been developing, what you will be developing during this process is a sense of love for yourself and a sense of gratitude and appreciation, which will not only, because it's becoming so vast, it is not only, or let's say it like this, you will have so much of it that you are willing and happy to share all of it. Yeah, so positive vibes. And another thing, I think this is something that we see so much in our kids, is the curiosity. This fresh eyes to look onto the process, look onto yourself. Yeah, find new ways. Yeah, you can always keep the plan, but you probably need to adjust. Plans are there to change them. That's how I like to say them. So the big point that I think what I found when I was writing this together was when I speak about self-discipline and curiosity and focus and love, there are probably more things involved, but these were the 4 things that came in mind. These skills and qualities and feelings, they are also only reachable through experience, and that would close the circle when I spoke in the first point about changing your belief, because the belief is the foundation of your thoughts. Thoughts define your action, and action define your experience. But also, when I come back to the very beginning of my session here with you, is when I said that the mind cannot create an experience. It can only reflect upon an experience. That means, in the big context, that the only way to achieve your goal is to follow through, is to just do it. Yeah, that was very surprising for me. That was the point. And then what I also feel, because I was talking about setbacks and hardship in the beginning, that these are often the turning points when we start to take action, but it doesn't need to be always from a point of suffering. What I've also learned, especially me, because I had experience that you only need to have that sense of suffering to grow. Yes, there is always a gentle friction that makes you overcome your resistance and your fears to actually follow through. Totally hear it. But I also find that curiosity can be a great engine or motor or energy to really make you start and stick to it. Just to figure out, just to be open and experience and see where it takes you. So these are the 2 different sources where you can find your way to achieve your goals. Okay, so this was for today. I'm going to wrap it up. So it was about 5 tips to get started and stick to it. And first one is to change your belief that is related to your goal, because the belief is the foundation of your thinking, and the thinking defines your action, and the actions define your experiences. Then number 2, write it down crystal clear. It has to be on a piece of paper. Everything that I talked about has to be on a piece of paper. Then it's going to get through. Number 3, back it up with an intention that is more than about this goal, which reaches a little bit wider and greater. Number 4, make a plan. And I have the 6 steps that I mentioned. Make a promise to yourself. Have a precise time frame and frequency in mind. Put your time in the calendar and make it non-negotiable. Share your goal with your family and friends. Be kind to yourself and celebrate a lot. Okay, And the last point is the self-discipline and all the other things that you develop, curiosity, focus, love, is to become the person you're supposed to be. This is what you can all reach with just following one goal. And then you do it over and over again, because it's a little bit easier, not the work itself, but the overcoming, the getting started and following through. All right, thank you for sharing, appreciate it, and see you soon. Leave me some comments, okay? Appreciate it. Bye-bye.